like they did for that, town hall, the town hall that with a wiki renovated in Abuja. That reminds me, Tifnumbu. What is a town hall?
If we lend ourselves to innovation, we can create wonders. Here is a successful, again, a town hall, different from Bulaba.
So that we are clear. In case you're like, how could you use, Bulaba rather. So that we are clear. Enough that if somebody like me is asking, why would they use 39 billion naira to renovate hall? A town hall. So Tinubu would just be like, hey, a town hall is different from Bala Blue, Bulaba. I said, oh, right. I was wondering too. Say exactly. A town hall is different from Bala Blue, Bulaba. Say, yeah, I get it now. The town hall is more expensive in their words. So anyway, even if not just out of that 20.4 billion, if not just the 400 million on top of, I beg make them carry and give this Ekiti children who are currently studying in a Podu, supposedly their classroom. There's no time to study. So they had to scoop water from their classrooms before they would then have to sit on that wet ground or wet floor to receive whatever knowledge their teachers want to pass. So, Vex Lady, please, these children, they will be eternally grateful, right? If not the 400 million on top of help this school. Trust me.
Ẹ wo ara kíláàsì wa náà rèé o, àríbi dúró sí ẹ ṣàánú wa ewu gbogbo ilé wa bó ṣe rí o, ẹ wò wá báyìí o, ẹ ṣàánú wa o, United la wà yìí o, kíláàsì míì tún lélẹ́yìí, ẹ wò bá ṣe rí báyìí, àtolùkọ́ àtàwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbogbo wa là ń gbọ́n mi o, ẹ wo bílẹ̀ ibi yìí bó ṣe green, ẹ wo gbogbo bí ló ti dagun, ẹ jẹ́ má jẹ́ ó tẹ̀lé wa lórí, ẹ ṣàánú wa, ẹ wo iṣẹ́ tá à ń ṣe látàárọ̀ kùtùkùtù tá a ti jí wá síbí lénìí, ẹ wo iṣẹ́ tá à ń ṣe láàárọ̀ kùtùkùtù Monday ní o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ akọ̀bẹ̀yìn ni ẹ ṣàánú wa, abẹ̀yìn ni àfọlọ́run ọba bẹ̀yìn, ẹ ṣíjú àánú wò wá, ẹ wo omi là ń gbọ́ látàárọ̀ o, omi òun là ń gbọ́ látàárọ̀, àárín kọ̀ọ̀kan ṣe omi la ṣà ń gbọ́n, àtolùkọ́ àtàkẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbogbo wa ló ń gbọ́ mi báyìí, omi là ń gbọ́ látàárọ̀ o, ẹ wò wá báyìí, ẹ wo gbogbo ilé wa báyìí, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ti ṣí, gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá ló ṣí òní, ẹ wò báyìí gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ṣí, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ti ṣí, àárín kọ̀ọ̀kan àríbi dúró sí láti kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wọ̀nyí o, àríbi dúró sí láti kọ́ wọn o, ẹ wò báyìí àfọlọ́run ọba bẹ̀yìn, ṣé tá à ń ṣe mí láti gbà tá a ti dé látàárọ̀ o, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ jẹ́ aráàánú gbà o, ẹ̀yin náà aráàánú gbà o, ẹ jẹ́ kí lèwe wa aráàánú gbà o, Wesley United Ìwóròmù Èkìtì láwa o, níwọ̀ ìlà oòrùn Èkìtì East ibẹ̀ láwa, ẹ ṣé o, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ o àfọlọ́run.
We are a poor nation. The bank code will follow. They say firewood, not smoke. They say we need to plant more trees. And they are not giving us money. We need to open our eyes, shine it, and tell the West. If you don't guarantee our finances and work with us to stop this, we are not going to comply with your climate change. They're doing. The great youth of Nigeria, Great. 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 Greatest, 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 yo. The great youth of Nigeria. Great. 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 Greatest, 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 yo.
Yo. That's a call. The greatest Nigeria, the youth of Nigeria say great. At the greatest, greatest. God damn it, man. Anyway, that's Kolu. Talking about the youth. So there is a group called Yaga. Okay. And I think it is the youth in government or youth in youth advocate. I don't know. They are called Yaga. Okay. They're about youth and they're about the youth in politics, good governance, this and that. So their leader, right, is speaking on this your 2027 charade, the oppositions, this and that. And I have this view captured. I'm coming back.
Yakubu, for good and for bad. That's perspective from some Nigerians who believe that there are a lot of things, a lot of gaps under his watch. Now, in terms of the agitation from the minds of Nigerians on who should be the leader of INEC or who should lead INEC, and those who are the management of INEC, who are they? Where are they from? The issues of bias, issue of their background and competence. A lot of things come into the frame. But let's get the conversation started. Those who are now anticipating and mapping out what should be the norm. Samson Itodo is an election observer and election development expert and the executive director of Yaga Africa is live for us here in our studio to give insight. Thanks so much, Samson, for joining us.
Thanks, always a delight to be here. Good evening.
How significant would this transition be, not only for INEC as an institution, but for our elections?
I think, Joe, you've said it all. It's very significant. Significant because you're going to have a relatively new electoral commission that will manage the 2027 elections. And you recall a few weeks ago, Yaga Africa released our status of electoral integrity report for 2025. And one of the projections that we made was that the 2027 election could most likely be the most compromised and perhaps the most expensive. And one of the reasons that we advanced was because of this leadership transition in INEC. If it's not managed carefully, if it's not managed from a statesman point of view, you could probably have, the next elections jeopardized because citizens are not going to trust, who mans the INEC. So it's very significant because Professor Mahmoud has been there for 10 years, that's a decade, and his exit, leaves a lot of vacuum because you ask yourself, if a new chairman is appointed whenever he is there sufficient time for the chairman to settle? If you look at what data says, and I'm sure we're going to go through the slides, you see the commissioners who are leaving next year and then those who are leaving on the eve of the 2027 election. So to a large extent, it's quite significant. Don't forget that the level of trust of citizens in the electoral process is also at its lowest ebb. So this is really an opportunity, for the president, for the Senate and the National Assembly to rebuild public trust and confidence in the electoral process.
We forget things quickly in this country. Like him or hate him, Mahmoud Yakubu will be known as the man who entrenched beavers. Will be known as the man who introduced the election result viewing portal. Will also be the man who finalized on the delineation to an extent of polling unit, and at the time it was.
That's a Mahmoud Yakubu. His time is going to end in another month. So he's expected to go on an annual leave next month, this coming month, October. So the annual leave will mean that Tinubu would then have to appoint somebody who is going to be like the acting INEC chair until the confirmation by the Akpabiole's Senate, right? Or Kolu can renew his tenure for another 5 years. So right now, people are already speculating that Tifnubu and this gang are not going to take any chances. If everyone want to fall, let that heaven fall in 2027, even if you don't vote for him, he will be declared the winner. And that to happen, you will need someone that could not be accessed or intimidated. And that person must be someone that you really, really trust that much, because it is one assignment: declare Tifnumbu and declare 80% of the National Assembly members for APC. So that in all, it's going to be like, if you want to uproot Tifnumbu, you would have to uproot everybody else. And as usual, everyone will begin to defend it because their own lifeline or their own livelihood is on the line. Simple. So they are already speculating about those Tifnumbu is looking to use as replacement, or better still, right? Or better put, there are already speculations that Tifnumbu is going to change Momodu Yakubu. So who? I don't know. But in the next few days, there's a chance that the news is going to tell you that Tifnumbu has nominated somebody else, and Yakubu will need to transfer to that person in acting capacity, and that's it. Momodu Yakubu and everything is done, would then just kind of like walk through the door with him, like that of Jega. And don't be surprised when they finish the rigging of Tifnumbu in 2027, right? They may give Yakubu ambassador or make him a board. I mean, Jega is currently full-time APC, even though he is still pretending to be a political. You know what I'm talking about? 2015 and then 2023, right? Hmm. Anyway, thanks so much, everyone that responded to my. I don't know how to really say it, right? But the thing is that for me to stay afloat and not get so like completely, you know, demotivated, so to say, right? So my platform is running short of about 1,000 in expenses, so to say, outgoing. So if the incoming, the revenue is kind of like shorter and the outgoing is more, then one is actually like, it's going to be like someone is uh, pushing the train's throttle, right? On the full speed, because you want to run into the rock, into the wall. I don't want to run into the wall. All right. And that is why it is easier. I could speak to my own constituent, right, for help. So I want to say thank you to these individuals, because some put their names as anonymous, which is good, on my GoFundMe. Let me see if I can share that. Yeah, I took that picture in the US and I just had their cut, by the way. So yeah, I've had an add-on, and indeed you too can possibly support. So this is anonymous donor, so thank you. The link to that is presently in the comment. You can use it. You know, one advantage about crowdfunding is that if the half of the viewers decided to just say, okay, I'll give you £2, I'll give you £5, in that regard, right, it could actually make a difference. I know you just wanted to listen and just go to bed, right? Anyway, I'm rounding up in a minute. And before that, here is one thing that El Rufaya said at Audio Base requirement or wake up. In Audio, the former agriculture minister under Bokwari, the former PDP chairman when Obasanjo was president, right? And then he made Obasanjo a pounded yam with a goosey. And after Obasanjo finished eating that in his house, Obasanjo gave him his resignation letter and told him to sign it because it's already been prepared. So when Obasanjo, then he signed it. So Obasanjo left. When he got to his car, He stopped. They walked back in and he said, no, you didn't date it. You need to remember that story. So he's dead now. And politicians were there saying every good thing about him. But here is what El Rufai shared happened between himself, how do we, and Obasanjo concerning the lands in Abuja. The same way where the Wike is demolishing people's properties and taking their lands, El Rufai did the same. But yeah, what's his reason?
To convert Abuja into a Singapore. That was the first hint I had as a ministerial nominee that I was going to be posted to the Federal Capital Territory. Well, I responded and the interview was over. And I was posted to the FCT. Shortly after I settled down, we did an analysis of residential land allocations in the Federal Capital Territory and found that indigenous of 3 states in Nigeria owned 62% of all the residential plots in Abuja. I will not mention the states. But that worried me personally, because if we are building a Federal Capital Territory, everyone should have a stake. So I went to Chief Audu Ogbe as chairman of the party and as someone that I consider my mentor. I went to him, I said, sir, there is a problem in Abuja. He said, what is it? I explained everything to him. He said, look, we have to inject a sense of balance in land ownership in Abuja for it to be a truly federal capital city. He said, so what do I do? He said, let's think about it. 2 days later, he called me, and his solution was simple. Let us identify the states that are not represented, that don't have people owning plots in Abuja, states like Bayelsa, for instance, and ensure that we grant them large allocations of land to the state government, either the State Housing Corporation or the State Property Development Corporation, to develop so that at some point the government can sell to indigenous of Bayelsa so that they all have a sense of ownership. And with that, we went to President Obasanjo. President Obasanjo endorsed the idea. But President Obasanjo said, some of these states that didn't vote for PDP, don't go to them. I said, yes, sir. So when we came out, we went to Chief Audu Ogbe's house. He said, Nasir, you're going to go to each state governor, whether it's ANPP, PDP, AD, we are trying to build a Nigeria for everyone, not for PDP. I'm the chairman of PDP. I love the PDP, but this is not about PDP. This is Audu Ogbe. He was a fair man. He was a passionate man about Nigeria. He was passionate about progress. He was passionate about fairness, equity, and justice. And that's what we did. We went to all the disadvantaged states. I went to the governors. I showed them the problem. And each state was asked to give us their housing corporation, property development corporation, and we gave them large plots of land to build housing estates and so on. That's my first Audu Ogbe story. The second one.
Don't tell us the second one. That won't be necessary. Because this one, self, you get that CB. Me, I know say he's lying, but I don't get evidence. Do you get that now? I personally know that he is lying, but I don't have evidence. I may have a little bit of kind of like a brain walk around what he said scrutinize that a bit, but I'm currently out of time. But he just said that 36 states in Nigeria were given lands in Abuja. I am aware that almost all the 36 states have their own governor's lodge in Abuja. But I am not aware that El Rufai allocated lands. Number one, it didn't say how much land and where. But he just said that under Obasanjo, he used his wisdom and he called the state governors, all the 36 states, and he allocated lands to them in Abuja. That one should be verified. I don't think that is wholly true, because according to him, he worked with their state housing association at the housing authority. Baba, do you know where your housing authority is in your state? Even the Lagos state that is so popular. Do you know where the housing authority is in Lagos? Can you tell how many houses they are currently managing in Lagos? That you say, oh, these houses